I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to be on live with my really good friend Lauren. She's actually one of my mentors. She's been a client of mine. We have a beautiful relationship. So I'm going to invite her in. And I wonder if I can add as moderator. This should work. No? Oh, yeah, there we go. See if that worked. There
Hello.
you go. Hi.
I have my little mic,
It looks so good.
but I lost the clip.
Oh no.
So I'm just gonna hold it like a news anchor.
No, I love it. It looks so good.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for doing this with me. I know we've been
Yeah.
talking about it for forever.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It definitely like made my morning to know that I'm coming on live with you.
This is so good. You
Yeah.
guys, I was just kind of saying this before Lauren hopped on, but Lauren and I have such a cool relationship because we're really good friends, but I've been a client of hers, she's been a client of mine. Like we've really been able to just like flourish in each other's businesses, and I think that that's really cool
Yeah.
in what the Instagram world can do.
Yeah, I think it's like one thing that I love so much about us is there's not really hierarchy. Like I feel like we've walked with each other in different seasons and um I don't know, I feel like it kind of shifts the game a little bit, especially with like the coaching, mentor, client dynamics. So, yeah, I just love it so much.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, everybody holds a puzzle piece. Like, I'm not better than you,
Yeah.
you're not better than me.
Yeah.
We don't feel that way. And I think it's really cool that the industry is shifting that way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a shift for good. Like I remember when I came into the industry, like, oh my gosh, now like 7 years ago, it was very much like you pay this mentor and they know everything. And like it was just like a really weird dynamic. And now I feel like it's exactly that is like we all hold different pieces and different nuggets to the puzzle. And yeah, so I feel like we've both I know for me specifically, and I've shared this with you so much, like I received so much from your coaching within my business, which I know we're going to talk about today. And I feel like I've been able to walk with you in like the depths of life and business and motherhood and things like that, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, you guys, I went to Lauren when I lost my daughter, and
Yeah.
she has helped me so much in so many ways since then. And I feel really lucky to have had you by my side. She knew I was pregnant when I wasn't telling
Mhm.
anyone I was pregnant, and she was
Yeah.
walking through that journey with me. And as you guys know, like life impacts literally everything, including your business.
Yeah.
So Lauren's just like been my rock through all of that. And I've been lucky. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
mm.
babe. Yeah, it's been like, and we don't have to like go too much in it, but it's been an interesting season. It's so weird because this year specifically, I would say like the last 12 months, I walked with a lot of clients with grief. And I'm not like a grief mentor or coach, but what I've received from it is just like God calls us into these seasons, and part of that season sometimes is grieving. It is loss. It is confronting death in like a really weird and interesting way. And also, it's so beautiful to see like how God moves. And that's what I've received more than anything is like, and I've witnessed this with you and I remember saying this to you, like be in the season of grief because God's gonna move and God's moving behind the scenes. And I feel like God puts us in seasons of tension, which can feel like grief in a lot of ways, even if it's just like an identity shift, like our character shifting, our way of being shifting. We have to grieve that. I say this so much to like mothers. I've probably said this to you, especially women that are like just stepping into motherhood. Like we have to grieve who we were. We will never go back to the woman that we were before we stepped into motherhood. And it's why I think that women in business that are mothers, like we do it differently. There's no blueprint for it truly. And just like there's no like true blueprints for motherhood. But when we trust God in his seasons and when he has for us, it's just like it makes it so much more easy in that season of tension, that season of despair. It's just like we can kind of like hold faith and be like, okay, God's moving in a really big way. And I witnessed that with you of just like, yeah, you're in a seat. It was so because you're holding both. You're holding wells coming in and also holding grief and holding a business and, just like navigating a lot. And I like felt like I had, like God was like, just speak life into her so that she remembers, like remind her that I have a plan for all of this. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you helped me through that so much. And I loved what you were saying about like there's no blueprint to the success either because I feel
hmm
like you walk that so well in your business and that was something
yeah.
that like we had a lot of fun with, but like it was expansive in your business, like
Yeah.
and I think that that's what I love so much, like because I'm like such a business lens. I love
Yeah.
seeing that inside your business. Like it's not like when we were working together, it was like, go do this, go do this, go do this, go do like, and we'll
Yeah.
pop out a blueprint. But what you did pop out was, I would say, a simpler business model and moves and
Yeah.
massive income months because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's important to share because I actually came to you right after you lost Mila. And
Yeah.
that was like very intentional. I actually hadn't worked with a coach in quite some time. And I could feel like major shifts, like my relationship with God was shifting. And I knew that that was going to impact very deeply my work and how I was meant to operate business. I was like, I don't really like need someone to like tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like I need someone, and this is like where I remember listening to your podcast after you lost Mila, and I was like sobbing. I remember Justin came into the bathroom, my husband, for those of you that don't know, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, I just like can't even imagine like what she's moving through. And like there was such a belief, and I was like, I want to learn how to access belief like that. And you launched like a free day master or like a 5-day free mastermind. I joined that, and I was like listening to her voice memos to all the women. And what I love so much is like you weren't just talking to coaches, like you were talking to women in so many different industries. And what you shared with these women was very simple, but it was like so impactful. And even within those 5 days, I was like, my whole like belief system is shifting because I was coming from a world of like, I don't know how I want to explain. It was like very scarce, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Is like, and I feel like I find this a lot in coaching of like where we especially like manifestation and like it's like well you have to do the rituals and you have to check the boxes and all of these things, and I was like very burnt out by it, and God was also like yeah, that's not how we're gonna like do this anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you have to shift your mindset because you're living in this lack, you're living in scarcity. And I was like, okay, I have to like completely reorient that, but I'm not being called to like do more healing work.
Yeah.
And that's a threshold when your whole identity, and that was for me, like my whole identity was like, heal more, trauma, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, that's not it. So when I stepped in and said yes to working with you, like that was the intention. I was like, I can feel God calling me into expansion into higher months. I had experienced a huge dip within my business,
Yeah.
and I was starting to feel like momentum again. And I was like, I just cannot go about this of like grasping. Like, I need it to just be like settled and trusting. And I think that we always need like people in our corner that can just be like, and like sometimes I would just drop in. It's so funny because like we didn't have a lot of calls.
No.
Like it was really just Voxer and voice memos. It was very intimate. And I remember just like dropping in and being like, hey, here's what's coming through. Like, here's what and I wasn't like ever going and being like, Brittany, tell me how to run my business. It was like, hey, like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. I just like need like a shift, or I just like need like to bounce this off of someone. Like, what are you seeing? And that I think is like the co-creation of like and you could just like see it so clearly. And I think that that's a gift from God because we make business so confusing. You know, like I feel like that's a gift from God that you have. And I've shared this with you. Like you can like laser focus see just the end result in someone's business and also just how to make it so simple, where I think like we like confuse it so much where like there's so
Yeah.
much noise, you know, and I was just like I would just come in and be like, no, just like make it so simple. And it was just these little tweaks, but they were like honestly like $1 million tweaks of just like, oh, here's a little like nugget drop in, you know, and I feel like we underestimate that when it's really like I found the most powerful thing. Like it completely shifted the way for me in which I stepped into coaching containers because it was not like it's no longer about like, oh, I need someone to like tell me what to do, right? Which is super disempowering and it comes from scarcity, it comes from lack. Instead of coming into a space and being like, I trust myself and I trust God. And I also feel like God's like calling you so that you can be like a steward with me within my business so I can see things a bit more clearly, which is a completely different frequency in coaching, you know?
Yeah, it's like funny when you're in your own world. Like I know that I make things simple, but like sometimes you don't like, I just think it's like a regular day. I'm just like, whatever,
I
everyone knows how to do this. But you're right, like it is disempowering when you're in these spaces where it's
know.
like, well, you didn't send all the emails, so it's not going to work for you, or you didn't send and like that's so not it with business. I think
Yeah.
we did your one launch with one live and you were
It,
selling
yeah.
spots like crazy.
Yeah, it was well, it was Christmas time. So we already had what did we do? Like 6 months. So we had a sold out like group program that sold out like pretty quickly, which was funny because that same program wouldn't sell the year before. And I remember coming to you and being like, hey, like this isn't selling.
Hmm.
And at the time, like I've made so many shifts now within my business, as you know, but at the time, like that was the program that was my bread and butter. And that was a sold out launch. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think we had like 12 women. And I remember like I wrote that down for 2 years to have 12 women in this program. And we had 12 women say yes to the program. And then um I like ran like like a small thing that sold out like on the back end of a free offer and I was just like this is insane and then you kept saying like you need to take advantage of um like the holiday season because people are wanting to buy, which was kind of like a mind F for me because I always thought like no one wants to, but like this is where this is like why we need people to shift our mindset and help us in this because in my mind, I'm like, no, people are broke and they don't even have money for the holidays and no one's going to want to buy. And you're like, no, everyone's buying right now. Like this is the season to buy. And this is like where your business genius comes in because I didn't realize that, right? So, like, I had a shift in perspective and belief because you gave me the evidence of that. And so I remember coming to you and like I had all of these ideas. This is so humbling. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And you like literally are like, yeah, I was thinking a bit bigger. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And you're like, I'm thinking like a year-long program, like a year-long offer, more one-on-one support, you know? And I was just like, okay, we can do this. Like, let's see how this goes. And it was so fabulous because I launched it and I did one live and I just kind of like remember like putting it down. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna be like super present with my family. I love Christmas. I love the holidays. It's so
Mhm.
special, like with kids. And I was just like, I'm not gonna put pressure. And I just like it almost felt like every time I checked my inbox, there was someone who was saying yes to it or like asking about it. And that was I think it was like a 70 or $80,000 launch. And it was crazy is it set me up for the whole year.
Yeah.
So everything else like compounded on that. And yeah. Oh, hi
Oh
Carla.
yeah, hi Carla. That's so nice.
Oh, we love you. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was like kind of, it was insane, but like I didn't even like see that in the realm of possibility. This is why I'm always like, Britt, like you have such a gift because you give women possibility outside of their scope. And I think that it's because you can hold that within yourself. And it's just like you see it for other women. And we, in the coaching industry, it's like we've almost demonized that of like, oh, don't pay for it. And I used to believe that too, of like, I'm pretty sure I have a post somewhere of like, don't pay for proximity or like things. And like, I actually take that back. Like, I
Yeah.
truly do. Like, we have to invest in, especially if we're wavering within our business, because business is hard sometimes. Like, we go through seasons in business, there's ups and downs. And, like, we're our biggest, like, our mind and our belief is our biggest hurdle in business. I believe like our faith in God always is getting challenged in business.
Hmm.
And for good reason, because it shapes us and who we are. But we need people in our corner that are going to be like, yeah, go bigger, And like I could only see, because I was so hooked in scarcity and lack, is like I could only see so far. And you're like, no, like I remember like you would message me and be like, no, it's a no-brainer. Like people are gonna pay in full. And I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. No one's gonna pay in full. Like and like then I just like would have payments come in. So the craziest thing is I remember going to Justin and being like, hey, like I just had like a payment come in full, and he's like looking at me and he's like, you just like made more money than like I've made in like 2 months of working, like working a pretty good job.
It's
And
crazy.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I told, So yeah, yeah,
I know, I just think like my whole thing from day one, the minute I had my big transformation of going from like 2K months to 20K months, and then as you guys know, it kept going from there. Like, I'm just like, I wish women would realize like just how possible this is for them. Like,
yeah.
we're not talking about like you had 20,000 people on an email list, and like that is not, you don't need those kinds of
I
things
think I
to
have
do
like
well.
400 people on the email list. Like I don't have a crazy following. Like I don't have like a crazy email list. I have like a very, and this is something else that you helped me with, is like I have curated a pretty loyal community.
Yeah.
And even like right now in this season where my community is changing, because I've changed a lot, and this, like I've started talking about Jesus and God, and people shut the door on that for so many reasons. I went from teaching pleasure and feminine embodiment to, loving Jesus, and people are like, ah. But what's fascinating is that I feel like I trust this season so much. Yes, always faith, absolutely. But I know how to cultivate community. So I trust that even if people fall away, even if it doesn't resonate with anyone, like I know that my intention on Instagram, my intention on TikTok, like my intention on anything is to cultivate community first and then sell. And
Yeah.
I trust that season of building community. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now. Is just like, I want to build relationship with women. And I know that the more I do that, they're going to end up buying, and these are going to be the women who are watching and they end up being painful clients, and they're loyal clients where they like love working with you. They love being in your containers. They, like they're I don't like saying like repeat clients, but they're just
Yeah.
like so devoted to your mission. And you help me see that too, of like it's not just about going viral for the sake of going viral. And I've gone viral quite a bit. Like over the past year, I have one reel that is still kind of going viral, like well over 2 million views, and just like it's insane the engagement on it. um and not all love, but a lot of love, a lot of love. And
Yeah.
that's also something that I think you've helped me with, is just like, if we want to be seen and if we want to be visible, we have to be willing to like really hold ourselves in that. And I think for me personally, it was so easy. And I know so many women are gonna be like, yeah, that's me right now. Like I wanted the high income months. I wanted the pay in full. I wanted the visibility. I wanted loyal customers, but I wasn't willing to hold that belief
Mm.
in like what that actually meant. And I feel like now, especially in a season of like building again and just like creating community in a new way, it's just like I trust that so much because I trust how big the vision. And you know, in my world, we say, let it be as big as God. Like the vision, the mission has to be as big as God, but we need people that are going to hold that vision with us, you know?
Yeah, like this point you're making about the proximity, like it's so important. And I'm not saying that because I want anyone listening to be proximity to me. Like invest in Lauren, invest in me. We're both great mentors. But like
Yeah.
the whole point is like that actually does help you hold the belief if you're in the
Yeah.
right containers.
Yeah. Because if you're working with a mentor, like a coach, and they can't hold that with you, or like they're projecting their scarcity, their lack, like you're going to feel that, you
Yeah.
know? And I just, it is a muscle that we have to build. And I was like, just listening to a really good podcast. And the thing is like it's so deeply embedded in our bloodline and our culture of the scarcity of the lack. And it's like we're kind of pushing up against a very hard way of being, and I do believe in like this is like another thing is like it takes work. It really does. To shift your belief system takes
Yeah.
work. To operate a business, it does take work. You know, it doesn't mean you have to do it. And we're both moms,
Yeah.
and this is why I say like moms do business differently. Like I just um we understand capacity in a different way where we're navigating so many, like Elliot's homesick right now, like I'm dancing between worlds, you know, like I it's just, you know, like you have a baby with you full time most days, you're like posting on social media while he's napping on you, you know, or like in the midst of just like little moments, and it's like moms know how to handle that, and I think that God designed us so perfectly for that, of like our capacity actually comes from God, where and this is like a whole side tangent, where I used to believe that our capacity came from like self-resourcing. And that was exhausting. And I feel like you walked with me in this, and both from like me mentoring you and also you coaching me, and just like vice versa, the stance of like, I feel like we both walked on this journey of like, oh, we're going to see a whole different way of doing business. And God, and like, what I love about us is you're like, this is what is being shown to me. And I'm like, yeah, this is like what I'm seeing right now. Like, and it's almost like this beautiful dance that we're doing together, but it's so impactful with how we're showing up, you know? And
Yeah.
I think more than anything, like, this is what I would pray that women receive from this is like, you don't just hire someone to get results, you
Yeah.
know? I think you have to hire someone and invest in someone that you like. That's very important because someone that you trust, like someone that is
Mhm.
loyal, you know, and also like just someone who's going to like just like see it so fully with you, you know, because it's insane. It's crazy. I think the coaching industry is the most delusional industry that we could ever be in. Like it is wild. We literally make money out of thin air. We like think, pray, you know, however it comes through, the offers coming in, and a lot of times the results are not always tangible, and usually they're not tangible first and then they become tangible. And that I think is the gift of the industry, is we're creating a lot of intangible things where it's shifting our relationships, it's shifting how we mother, it's shifting fine, and then it begins to like, you know, shift finances, it begins to shift, you know, our business, things like that. And we need good people in our corner, like really good people. And I feel like we both have that, of just like, yeah, it's like we love each other, which means we love our business. Like we like truly celebrate the wins, you
Yeah.
know, and we're willing to walk through the hard parts too, but like we celebrate the wins with each other, which I think is like such a gift. And again, it heals. We don't have to go into like healing the sister wound, but it does heal, I think, a fracture that has happened in the coaching industry in a really
Yeah.
beautiful way. you know?
Yeah, it's such a good point. Like, we don't just want the best for each other's businesses because we should, because we both put money on the line.
Yeah.
It's genuine. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm following your posts. Don't even get me started on that. But like,
Yeah. Yeah.
your mentors should be there with you on the journey because they genuinely care.
Yeah. And it's just like, and like, this is the thing is like, you know, I, I walked through with you through a hard season,
Yeah.
you know, and I won't go into like the behind the scenes or the nitty gritty, but I think losing a baby is probably one of the hardest things anyone has to walk through. And so we've cried together. Like I have prayed over, I remember when you were prepping for labor and you kind of needed space and solitude, and I just like I prayed behind the scenes so heavy for you, just like God protect her and this baby, like please just cover. And I didn't have to like even say that, and I have tears because like I think the power of prayer is so true. And it's just like we need mentors that are going to pray over our lives with us. And because it doesn't just, and this is like my belief of like, it is not about you.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, yeah, celebrate, like, yes, have the big months and celebrate those months. But you know me, I'm like, that's impacting your family. That's impacting like generations to come. Like, you're such a believer in like wealth building and stewarding money. And it's like, this is impacting way beyond what we could ever see, which is why we need women with us that are going to pray life into our businesses, because we understand that it's affecting not only them but everyone else. Like when we're struggling in business, it does affect the family.
It
Like it
does.
does. It affects the way that we show up. And I just feel like we need that so much, and we also need to realize, and I've seen this sometimes, of just like only celebrating the wins. And I feel like with us, it's like we've been able to walk through the darkness together,
Yeah.
and which makes the win so much sweeter, but it's also like so pure, and authentic of just like, yeah, like I don't even know I can't even put into words with it because it's such a like felt experience. I heard something today, it said, uh, the best somatic experience that you can have is the presence of God. And
Mm,
I feel like we need more experiences within the coaching space with the presence of God in the room. And I feel like that's something that we've created,
yeah.
together, is allowing God to be present in the room of our creation.
Yeah. It's something that I hope everyone gets to feel in their
Yeah.
mentorship
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a gift. It truly is. Because you're doing life too, like, and I'm just like such a firm believer in that, is like you're doing life as well. And you're hiring a mentor, whether it be for a month or 6 months or a year, to do life with. And the truth of the matter is like life is hard,
Yeah.
you know, and it's raw and it's real, and it's not always what we see on social media. I think social media is like literally like one sliver of our lives, and then there's so much happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. And when you can fully trust in your mentor relationship, like, you're
Yeah.
able to open up to all that other part.
Yeah, it does make it business so much easier. And you know what else is it like? I feel I feel this for like I trust launching so much more,
Mm,
and I also trust when I'm not meant to launch. Like I feel like right now I'm not like in a heavy launch season, and which is weird for me because I was trained by a lot of people like you should always be launching something, and like now I'm just like, again, it's trusting the community. Like I know like right now it's just a season of building community. I feel like that's something that again you've helped me with, of just like know when to nurture and then know when to sell. And again, it's like so simple, but it's a misstep, and it goes into like we're forcing things within business. So, I've spoken this to you a lot of like it's a mirror, like our business is actually often a mirror of what's actually happening within our lives,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
And it's hard to keep business simple, I would say even more in 2025, because
Yeah.
all you see online is like, well, you're doing this hook wrong and you're doing this wrong and
Mm,
this and that. And it's just like you get sucked into it because obviously you want your business to do well.
yeah.
Obviously, we're all in it to put the work in and we're willing to figure it out. And it's just like,
Yeah.
that stuff will send you in a tailspin quicker than anything else. And it just, the rules don't matter. That's not what you're going to make the money from.
I know. I like sent you a message on Friday. Was it Friday? I was like, Brit, what is going on right now?
Oh, yeah.
My story views have like skyrocketed. And I'm like, what is happening? Like by hundreds, y'all. Like I was struggling with stories and I don't usually I look at metrics just to kind of see. And I looked at my story views and I'm like, oh, this is insane right now. And I sent it to you and I'm like, hey, this is really interesting. And you're just like, apparently the algorithms shifted. I'm not someone where like I'm gonna go search that. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, like something's happening. I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, the algorithm has shifted, and also it shows that whatever you're posting is being liked. And I'm just like, again, it's like one little simple thing. What's funny is I notice now is I actually don't have as much pressure to show up on stories because I'm just like, oh yeah, people are going to be there watching,
That's so good.
Where I caught myself before I messaged you, I was like, this is so humbling of just like, I was like, oh no, I have to hold on to this. So I need to redo whatever I did before. And I was just like, oh no, the algorithm likes me now, you
Well, I
know?
think like beyond the algorithm, like you have really stepped into talking about what you want to talk about, and it's
Yeah.
super heart led and it's truly there to help people. And you're not
Mhm.
doing it to make sure you get the likes so then people will join your free class. And then and like this is the
Yeah.
difference in your business is like, and that's why you're seeing the numbers reflected in the end.
Yeah, that's so sweet. That's actually really good reminder. You see, you guys, real time. It's just like, yeah, that's actually a really good reminder because my mindset, and I've had to shift this because I've shifted the conversation in such a big way, right? As no one's going to want to hear this. Like, no one's like, like people, and
Mhm.
what's fascinating is people actually do want to hear it and they're curious. And I remember I was in Hawaii with one of my other mentors that I love. And I was like, Chelsea, if I talk about Jesus, like people are going to just, I'm going to get persecuted. And she's like, no, you have to, because the way that you speak about it is just like, she's like, it makes me want to go get baptized. And that, like, again, it's like two people in my corner of just like, yeah. And this is another thing, like, we don't have to have scarcity with that either, of just like,
Yeah.
I want an abundance of people like pouring life into me, And it's funny because it's like in a real time shifting my mindset of like, no, like, just speak about what God is asking you to speak about, trust the conversations that you're meant to have, and the right people are going to come. I've had a lot of people leave my space. That's fine, but the right people are in the room with me right now, and I trust that, and I trust too that that's going to lead into, again, loyal clients.
Yeah. And it will every single time because
Yeah.
like you're separating the giving from the money and that's why
Mm.
you'll make the money because of it, ironically, you
Ooh,
know?
go into that, separating the giving from the money. What do you mean
Like
by
we
that?
just like tie God's hands behind his back when we're just like, okay, but
Mm,
I need you to bring me clients in this right now to validate me. And it's like, I did not want to hear that, you guys. I hated hearing that I was like
mm,
trying to force it. Like I knew better than that. And it's just like, if people don't join, like let's say you were launching a mastermind today or a course or whatever, people weren't joining that,
yeah.
like we get down on ourselves, but like God wants for you what you want for yourself 10 times that. You can't even believe what he wants for you,
Mm,
and but we're just like shoving it into these boxes to try and like one, validate ourselves, two, make sure we're going to hit our numbers and whatever else and feel like our
yeah.
business is working. But if you separate the money from the giving, is like you will always be a match for the money you're a match for. And you can grow that and you can work on that and you can co create that with God.
Yeah.
he writes the paychecks. But if you just like give because you're here to give, like that will go viral in itself, but you don't have to like make them meet. Like that's not
Mhm.
your job. Like your job is go give and the money will come in. And I know that seems
Yeah.
oversimplified, but that's what Lauren does. Like she
Yeah.
probably wouldn't explain it that way, but that's what she does.
No, it is because I do believe that I say a prayer every single day of like, God, how can I be of service and show me the rooms that I'm meant to sit in and walk in, and sometimes God calls me into rooms and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in this room, but that's how but it's all about service. Like it is about how can we pour in. And again, I think it's what makes a really good mentor is our ability to pour into our clients and just give to our clients and not worry so much about like what are we getting from them. One thing that I've like really detached from is like um my expectations of a testimonial, where
Mm-hmm.
because my work is so vast in a lot of ways, like it's very narrow, but it's also like the results are vast, right? It's like anything from fertility and birth to money and business and in anything in between, intimacy with your husband and all of these things, intimacy with God. And but so I've released that expectation, and with releasing that expectation, I remember being on a legacy call, just maybe it was like it was a one-on-one legacy call with one of my clients who and she just started like riffing on all of the things that have happened since working together.
That's amazing.
And I remember sitting there and I was like, well, we should have probably recorded that. And I said that to her just like as a joke. But I remember thinking of like, I couldn't even fathom those results. Like I couldn't sit there and like write that on like a sales page.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think too, like we have to, and again, this is like the bigger vision that we're stepping into is like, our work is, even if we're niche down, it's like our work expands like all time, and that's how God works. Is like there's no like timeline with God, because his design for us, and it's Genesis chapter 1, it says it right there, be fruitful and multiply. I say this all the time to you guys, like be fruitful and multiply. That is God's demand of us, is for us to like literally bear the fruits of this earth and also to multiply them, to steward that. And I think that we forget that. Like if that is that means God wants us wealthy. That means God
Yeah.
wants us to be so abundant. And it's like we step into business and like you were saying, there's so much noise online. And what it does is it fuels, and right now I'm in a season where like I have everyone's stories muted, like to go check, like I have my search of people I check on, mainly clients, but like I don't want to hear anyone else's noise in this
Yeah.
season. I just want to like hear the voice of God and understand fully for my clients how to actually multiply with him, like how to multiply in his name. And that's been a very fun experience. Like that's been set, and that's how I see business now, is like I'm just going to experiment with things and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens, instead of like, even for me, having expectations of results. Because why would we sit there? I think I said this to you once, of like, would you ever just like sit with God and be like, yeah, or I don't know, I said this at some point, and like just be like, yeah, what you created didn't meet my expectations. Like we would never say that to him, and yet we're doing that in our business all the time, of like, oh, the launch didn't go my way, or that reel didn't hit the way I wanted it to, and we're like, yeah, God, you didn't show up today. And it's like, no, what do you like, he's always there. Like what are you talking about, like, because it's not your expectations. And usually it's because our expectations of him are so narrow, they're so closed off, that we're not even allowing him to come in and do what God does, which is, show us what multiplication looks like, show us what fruitfulness looks like, show us what prosperity looks like, you know.
Yeah, you have to stop like looking at everything as like a success or a failure because it
Yeah.
only leaves about this much room and like
Mm,
you're designed to have a world of abundance.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
literally
good.
your, and I like if anyone's listening to this and questioning that in themselves and their business, like it's just lies from the devil. Like you
Yeah.
were built to have a major business, and trust me, Lauren and I have to remind ourselves of that all the time too. No one is
Yeah.
perfect with that. But
No.
like you were designed to have a wildly abundant business. It wasn't meant to be a struggle.
Yeah. Lies from the devil for like 100%. And um, my pastor said this. He said, the devil can't read your thoughts, but he understands your patterns. And
Mm,
that like really hit me because we have to get really good at looking at like when we spiral and what actually begins to happen when we spiral and what we go to. And that's why I say in seasons of tension, God's stretching our character, God's building our character,
mm,
because he knows that if he builds our character, the devil can't come in and penetrate that field. Our character is so solid and rooted in belief and in faith. And
yeah.
I do believe this, that the requirement for all miracles is faith, whether you're like in more like manifestation new age, like that is manifestation, it's just like faith,
Yeah.
belief, faith, right? And it's like every miracle that Jesus performed here on earth, he required faith of whoever was receiving those miracles. And it's just, like how do we, it's just, and I've witnessed it happen. Like I've gotten so good at like really attuning to like where, because this is the truth, is that when we say yes, and we have to say yes to this, when we say yes to a launch that blows our mind, when we say yes to 100K months, when we say yes to $1 million business, when we say yes to being a mother, when we say yes to being a good wife, when we say yes to just creating like financial prosperity, when we say yes to these things, God's like, okay, we're in agreement now. But the thing is like the devil's like, I'm gonna find the holes. I'm gonna find the holes. Oh, you're searching, you're on
Mhm.
Instagram and you're looking for a result. I'm gonna find the holes. Hey, it's not gonna work. Hey, he doesn't love you. Hey, you're failing as a mother. That's how the devil comes in and is like, yeah, go back to doing the old way. Go back to being in scarcity. Create from scarcity. Like I pray before I do any of my content or things like that. And again, it's a muscle because I wanted it to be like someone else's. I was like, oh, what's the
Yeah.
trend?
Yeah.
And so I pray before I create content. I pray before I go on stories, and I notice when I do it out of like, oh, I need to, I should, and when it's just like, no, this is what God wants you to say right now. And again, I believe this to my core. For those of you that don't follow me, you probably like haven't seen this. But submission is freedom. Submission to God is freedom. Submission to God in business is like the most liberating thing that you can do because it takes all the pressure off you. It takes all the, like, if you're waking up with anxiety every single morning within your business and wondering where clients are going to come from, the first thing that you're checking or your DMs or your email or whatever, you're not submitted to God in your business. And that's fine. I have days like that too, like, absolutely. And also, we have to get good at looking at that and being like, this isn't of God. This is an old pattern that I'm clinging to, probably because it's what feels safe. But I've said yes. And this is like the bigger question for so many of you women listening is like, where have you not said yes to God? And this is what we did together when I had these extraordinary launches, is I would come in and be like, no one's signing up, blah, blah, blah. And I would have it reflected, and this is what we need of like, where are you not saying yes? Where are you not claiming this? Do you actually believe this to be true? And we need people to reflect that to us because I believe in spiritual warfare. The Holy Spirit has given me the gift of discernment, so I can see it. I was praying about it last night. I'm like, God, why did you give me this gift? Because I can see good and evil so clearly, and it's not always like I don't want to see it. And He's like, well, that's why you went down all these paths, because I needed to show you good and evil. And we have to just get so intentional with who is in our corner when we say yes to things.
Yeah.
I'm reading the title, Big Business Months Require a Yes. Heart-led leadership requires a yes. Heart-led businesses require a yes. We have to confirm that. And when we confirm that with God, when we declare that, He's going to send us people to support that yes.
Yeah.
And far too often, I see so many women that they're being sent the gift. They're asking, hey, what's your program? Hey, and then we get back into scarcity because we're like, oh, that wasn't what I thought the price would be. That wasn't what I wanted. God's like, but you said
Yes.
yes. You said yes. And now you're back in scarcity. And now you're back in lack. And then Satan's like, haha, told you, you know? And it's like, this is exactly why you need to say yes. Now say yes to an investment and know that, like, so many times when this past year, specifically, like the past 2 years, I've only said yes to investments from that space. I didn't have the money, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't know where the money was going to come from. No way. I had wounding with money, fear with money. Money always showed up, always paid my mentors, always, like clean energy because I trusted that God was calling me into a room with a certain purpose person because he's saying you can't do this alone. We're not meant to do this alone. We're not meant to birth alone as women. We're not meant to mother alone as women. We're not meant to run businesses alone as women. And anything that's telling you that you need to do this alone is a lie from the devil. It is not truth, but you're stopping yourself from going all into the yes, and then you're wondering why it's not working. You're wondering why it's not working, but you're not trusting the rooms that God's calling you into. And that I think is the biggest hang up because you're allowing old experiences, and let's just call it what it is. You're allowing old wounding from previous mentors, coaches, or you're allowing, well, it didn't work before, whatever it is, to stop you from saying yes to what could be. If I would have never said yes, I wouldn't have created this belief to just like move right now with God in the way that I move with God. And then to see the results that He had in store for me, I could not see any of it. I couldn't see any of it until I said yes.
Amen. I literally was not going to say anything. That was so good. It's so
Taking you to
true.
church.
No, you are. It's true though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I want to
I
leave
feel like we
everyone on
ended
that.
there.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
good.
like I literally like don't want to taint what just happened there. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so good. Thanks for having me on. I
Mm,
love you so
I
much.
love you too. Thank you for doing this with us. And if you
Yeah,
guys aren't following Lauren yet, make sure you do.
yeah.
And we'll have to do this again because this is amazing. I could listen to
I know.
that all
I'm
day
like,
long.
ooh, a part two, little sermons. I love to take people to church.
Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely follow me. And if you're coming from my space, follow Brittany. Again, I just feel like this is how, like, God is just calling women to build together. It's such a beautiful season. I think that women are stepping into the vision right now for this industry and for women in business, specifically for entrepreneurs. It is going to far surpass, I think, what people think is like tangible or manageable. Like God gives us supernatural capacities. So, say yes to being in our world, say yes to working with us if that's where you feel called, if that's what God's calling you into, and like go all in on it, like learn how to utilize mentorship. And that's one thing I've gotten really good at is when I sit, and I'll end with this, this will be the last little piece. When I sit with women and I've hired them and I've said yes to working with them, I ask questions so intentionally. Like, I want to know how you move.
Yeah,
I want to know how you breathe. I want to know like what, and I feel like you do this too. Of
yeah,
like, and like with you stepping into motherhood, you've done a really good job of this. I've noticed this of like, how do you move? How do you do the mornings? Like, how did you do this when Elliot was young? And I feel like that's like another gift, a little like, I want to know the behind the scenes of how things are operating in your life. And again, mothers do it different. Like, you want to know business, go to a mother because we do it different and
yeah.
I will die on that hill. you
I
know?
will too. I thought I understood it before being a mom, and it's a whole other thing.
No, like your
Yeah.
capacity is just so radically, and it's not hard. It's not like, oh, it's harder. It's just like we don't have time for nonsense. We don't have time for it, which means we don't sit in it. We move.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of working with mothers. Yeah.
Yeah. This is so good, you guys. Thank you for being on live, watching the replay. We
Yeah.
love having you guys here. Reach out to DM either one of us. We'd love to hear
Yeah.
from you. And we're going to do a part two because this is really good.
I know. Okay. Have a good day.
Okay.
I'm gonna go bake my sourdough. I just remembered I have like a
Yes.
big thing of sourdough sitting in a metal bowl and it's gonna overproof. So
Good. Go get that going.
okay. Okay,
Okay.
goodbye. Love you all. Bye, Britt.
Bye.